This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by
CAI. This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by CAI. They're a company that knows not only do you want your money, you want to keep your customers. CAI. They collect with respect. CAI.
What type of activism are you most drawn to? I've always liked publicity stunts or doing media type stuff myself, either being the media or doing something that gets in the media. So for the first 3 years I was here, since I was working at a TV station, I didn't really want to play, I didn't want to really try to do in my daily life for activism the same exact thing I was doing at the TV station. I didn't want to do video taping, I didn't want to do editing. So what I did was I tried to just do interesting things, that would be worth covering for the media, things that would be of interest to the media. Or just things that maybe were publicity stunts on a very small scale. Like my favorite thing was to do for the first, couple years, or maybe I guess the second and third year I was here, was this thing I called silent demonstrations, where I'd go into like a bureaucrat's office. If they had done something really bad recently, I'd just stand there in their office with a sign until they tell me to leave, and then I would leave very slowly and never say anything. And apparently this was pretty effective. It would get a lot of, it creates a lot of gossip within the bureaucrat's office. So I did about 30, 40 of those, and I was actually arrested for one of those, and of course that was the one that got the most publicity.
I got one. Let's see, boy, you think your name is Ridley. Your father's name Frank? I'm just asking. I got a very good friend of mine was Frank Ridley. I'm just wondering by any chance you Okay.
I'm actually hoping that some of the people who watch the Ridley Report will take up this this practice and start doing it themselves, because now that I'm doing the Ridley Report, I don't have much time to go out and do silent demonstrations. I haven't done one for probably about 1.5 years now. But I think it's something that's very memorable for bureaucrats, and it tends to normally, I think, endear you to bureaucrats a little bit. If you show up in their office, you've got a sign, you're very peaceful, you look polite, you don't talk, you hand them a very respectful piece of paper that has your grievances on it. I'm sort of, I consider myself, very amicable acquaintances now with some of the bureaucrats who I protested against. What's a favorite memory of activism that you have? My favorite memory, just right off the top of my head, I think actually is something I haven't talked about all that much because I wasn't eager to get the people in trouble who did this. But in 2006, I did a silent demonstration in Nashua inside an IRS lobby. That's the only time I've ever actually been threatened with arrest. It's the only time I've ever been arrested for doing a silent demonstration, because apparently there's some obscure regulation in federal rules that says you can't distribute handbills in an IRS office. Well, I was doing that sort of in support of Russell Canning, who had gone out and gotten arrested for trying to distribute leaflets in an IRS office. When I was arrested for doing it, within 2 days, Lauren Canario and Kat Canning of the Monadnock region, western New Hampshire, went out and got themselves arrested doing pretty much the same thing. And to me, that's the most memorable thing I can think of, knowing that people cared so much about my arrest that they were willing to go and get arrested themselves to protest that. That was very powerful to me. I've never done a sufficient job of thanking them for what they did, and that's in part because I've been a little bit concerned that if I talk about it too much, they might get in more trouble for having done it. What actually ended up happening, they were arrested on the scene, but they were not really, they never really had to do any jail time. They were given a court date. They were not, they would not attend. They refused to attend the court hearing, the trial or whatnot. and the feds eventually backed off and never came after them. So what they did was, to me, a great victory. I mean, when you do civil disobedience, you want to achieve the moral high ground. You want to get publicity, you want sympathy, and you want change. Well, we didn't get change until Lauren and Kat went out there and committed that civil disobedience in that IRS office. We got change because they did it, and they were not put in jail for it for any length of time. That was a change on the part of the way the federal government operated. They used to put people in jail for distributing handbills in IRS offices, and then they didn't. I don't know if it's a complete permanent change, but it is some kind of change, and that's something very powerful for a small group like us to achieve against such a immensely powerful organization like the federal government. So those two have my greatest gratitude and admiration for what they did. That makes it my favorite memory of activism, even if I didn't get to see any of it because I was in jail at the time. This is Dave Ridley, signing out for RidleyReport.com and urging you to move to New Hampshire. Uncle Dada wants you.
This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by Secede CAI. They're a company that knows not only do you want your money, you want to keep your customers. Secede CAI. They collect with respect. Secede CAI. Secede CAI.